I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movies, and I'm not proud of my address.
We're not just building muscle, we're building men. In the quiet hours, in the unfiltered moments, in the conversations that happen before the world wakes up. This is the Gloom, where brotherhood forms in the dark so we can lead in the light, where vulnerability is strength and leadership is handed from man to man, one story at a time. Our mission is to empower, exhort, and inspire men to achieve their best selves through stories of reinvigorated male community leadership. We bring you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha PAX, ordinary men doing extraordinary things in fitness, fellowship, faith, and leadership, because we believe that every man has a story, and reinvigoration starts when that story is shared. This is the Glue in the Gloom. Shout out to our sponsors, Avior Wealth Management, Liberty Core Real Estate, Major Team Mortgage, Exclusively Eye Care, Omaha Laser Dentistry, and McNamara Law Firm. We appreciate your support. Liberty Core Real Estate is your homegrown real estate broker. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate, whether personal or investment, Armando, aka Brian, and Megan Michaels' company is ready to serve you. With Command Center in Old Town Elkhorn and agents all throughout the metro, they are more than ready to guide and serve you in your next real estate endeavor. Whether your next move needs to happen now or in 5 years, call or text Armando at 402-770-2165 to get your questions answered. And a special offer for F3 Nation PAX members, Liberty Core will donate $250 to your sponsor of choosing for every closed transaction. Stop looking, start finding today with Liberty Core Real Estate. Now, let's get back to the gloom. And we're back. We're at the Nomad, Old Town Elkhorn. It was a little chilly in here, so we turned up
it's 52 chilly.
Yeah, well, it was for me. I don't know. I'm getting soft.
Okay.
But man, I'm so excited to just have this conversation. You know, I'll never forget. And obviously, guys that are watching, you can tell I got Chicken Hawk with me. But I remember a while back, I get this text message from Chicken Hawk, and he just says, "Hey, I listened to your Gloom episode and we need to have lunch." And just sort of, he was really just checking in on me to make sure that I knew where I stood with Christ and with the Lord. And, that just meant a lot, you know. I think, was really a special lunch to just, you know, I think we go through all these things in life and we're trying to do the right thing and trying to walk in step with God. But, he certainly uses other people to just sort of affirm or reaffirm things. So just have always appreciated you and love your leadership, love how you pour into other guys, and excited to get your story.
Thank you.
You know, where we like to start is that EH journey, sort of your, you know, intersection with F3, sort of who invited you out, what was that first workout like?
Yeah.
And then would love to hear how the name Chicken Hawk came about.
Okay. Well, I'm not 100% sure the story is accurate, but I tell everyone it, Ryan Husk, Specimen.
Oh yeah.
I believe he invited me to come to the very first F3 workout.
So you could have been a Redwood.
I could have been a Redwood.
Okay.
And I avoided him for about 5 years. And he would ask every so often, about once a year. And Ryan's somebody that I've known. One point I'd hired his wife to work at Gallup.
Yeah.
Got to know Ryan through, and then they started coming to Relevant where I go to church, and just had developed a relationship, did some men's stuff with him over the years. And so he's always been a special guy in my life.
Yeah.
And I guess he helps me feel young because he is young.
Yeah.
But so I had seen, I think on Twitter, you know, like some workout that he'd done, and I think I liked it or something. And wouldn't you know, like the next day I had a note and it's like, "Hey, I see you're checking out the videos. Are you ready to go?" And I, after years of avoiding him, you know, I saw these guys having fun, and I said, you know, yeah, I'll go. And of course, you know, I was like, I can't go this week, but I'll definitely go next week. And so, yeah, April 1st of 2023,
Okay.
at the 6 a.m. Oracle. I showed up on a old, not totally snowy, but a little bit wet, cold morning. Let's see, Almost Famous was leading,
Okay.
and so it was a great. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was hard.
Yeah.
I was not in good shape, but I knew it was good for me. I'm the type of person that I have a hard time sticking to things, but I definitely gravitate towards things that are relational.
Yeah.
And so for me, the relational, I'm more likely to show up out of relationship than I am out of the hey, I got to take care of my health.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I mean, I'd gone through some things prior to that, and I've always sort of gone in and out of working out. I've always probably been about 20 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
But about 2 years before that, so my wife was married before,
Okay.
and I was able to, and she had a daughter, Maddie, and I was able to develop a really great relationship with Maddie's dad.
Oh, cool.
And he and I were great buddies. Going to the volleyball tournaments together, and
Yeah.
kind of we'd go to meals in between, and he was just an avid sports guy. But I tell you that story because that about 2 years before I came to F3, he had not taken good care of his health, and unfortunately, he in his sleep passed away.
Oh, wow.
And I was the one that actually went and found him, and he was just so there was some trauma there, obviously, but that wasn't what led me to F3. But that was also a part of like seeing like we need to take care of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And I think as I've gotten older, I've come to recognize like I am relational, and so if you tell me, hey, you want to go work out tomorrow, like once I said yes to Specimen, then it was like, okay, now I'm in. So that was my first workout. That was a little backdrop to, I knew I needed to start to really take my health serious. And so Chicken Hawk. So I don't remember the chaos of all the shouting things that were happening. I shared all the regular stuff, and then I think someone said, what's one thing you've done that no one else has?
Oh, okay.
I just remember, I think it was Wait Time even said that. And I just remember hearing that. And the first thing that came to my mind was, I've been a mascot before.
Oh, okay.
And so they said, tell me more.
Yeah, tell me more. Yeah.
And I said, well, I lived in Berlin, Germany.
Okay.
And the NFL Europe used to have a spring league there. And they had the Berlin Thunder. And so I had met the dance coach there through like an Americans in Berlin dining club or something. I don't remember. And she said, hey, would you be willing to wear the mascot? We're having trouble finding someone to wear this mascot.
Yeah.
So without even knowing what it was, I think I asked, but I show up. I said yes. So I show up, and I mean, I put on this full Thunderbird, but it literally looked like an oversized stuffed chicken.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I told people it looked like an oversized stuffed chicken. The next thing I know,
Chicken Hawk. Wow, that is so cool.
And at the time I was like, isn't Chicken Hawk a Looney Tunes character or something?
I think it is, right?
And yeah, I mean, I went on to Google it, and Chicken Hawk used to run around with Foghorn Leghorn, and only appeared in 9 episodes. And one of the episodes, there's actually a Chicken Hawk song, so I have my own theme song. If you want to YouTube it, there's a Chicken Hawk song.
We'll add that to the end of the episode.
There you go.
Oh,
there you go.
Awesome.
So that's the story.
That is so cool. Man, that's a good question. We should probably ask more guys that when we're naming them, right? It's like, how did you meet your wife, or what's something you've done that nobody else has done?
Yeah.
So talk me through just a little bit of your background. So are you from Omaha? Sort of, where'd you grow up? And then, how'd you go from Germany to here? And
okay, great. Yeah. I grew up in Lincoln.
Okay.
Went to Lincoln Southeast. From Southeast, I went to Nashville, went to Vanderbilt.
Okay.
After that, I spent about 6 months in Atlanta, had a really bad, kind of manager experience.
Okay.
bad leadership experience in commercial real estate, to which I moved back to Nebraska to start a home building business. Home building business with my dad. He'd kind of just started it, and he needed some help with finance, and my degrees in economics and finance. So came back and worked with him for about 2 years. And after learning to frame and lay tile and all these things just to get some extra money because we were starting this business, I was like, I don't really love this.
Yeah.
I want to scale differently than he does. He's a phenomenal builder, but a great perfectionist. Only wanted to build a few houses at a time, and I was like, I'm not sure how we're going to afford dinner for both of us
right.
at this pace. So,
Yeah.
I really wanted to get back into some sort of way to leadership. And I'd ran into one of my young life is kind of like campus life or Youth for Christ is big in Lincoln. And I'd ran into my young life leader at a wedding, and I was just telling them I was kind of in maybe a transition period. And they were like, you ought to look into coming to Gallup. We've got great opportunities to lead.
Okay.
So a little over 25 years ago, I applied at Gallup. The next thing I knew, I had an opportunity to do some training to train at Gallup, and I've been there ever since. So my third year there, they needed somebody. They just sold a big contract, and they needed somebody to go to Germany because somebody was going on maternity leave, and in Germany you take a year off as a mother.
Wow.
You get to take a year off. So they needed somebody to cover the year. So I went to Berlin for a year.
Wow.
And that's how I ended up in Berlin for a year. And then I came back to Lincoln for about a year, and then moved to Omaha in end of 2005.
Okay.
So, here ever since.
Wow.
Yep.
I love it. That's super cool. It is interesting, like just hearing sort of where people bounce around. And so Vanderbilt was, what was the draw there? Is that a family school or?
No, I lived about 5 miles from the University of Lincoln campus.
Yeah.
So I really didn't want to go there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was leaving 1994 is when I went to college. Had I stayed there, I would have had some serious good college football moments. But instead, I opted for a team that barely won.
Yeah.
In the early 90s. Great this year, right?
Yeah.
Last few weeks have been awesome fun with Vanderbilt football. But I applied at a bunch of schools, and then as I got in, I went and looked at them. My stepfather had gone to Vanderbilt.
Okay.
And so it was the last school I actually looked at. I mean, I love my stepfather, but I also kind of wanted my own experience and whatnot. So I was going to go to Wash U in St. Louis probably.
Okay.
And then I took one last trip to Nashville. It was a spring day. People were in shorts, beautiful Southern gals, like great energy on the campus. And it took me about 30 minutes, and I knew that I was like, this is where I need to go. And so, I had an awesome experience there for about 4 years, and nothing related to sports because we were never good at any sports. A little bit of basketball.
It's a really good school, though, right? I mean,
sure. I think.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was a lot harder than it was. A lot harder than Lincoln Southeast.
Yeah. I know in the medical community, we're always trying to, what's Vanderbilt doing? So, no, I love it. And family growing up, sounds like, did you have siblings or what was that like?
Yeah. So, I have a little sister that's she's 3 years younger than I am. My parents got divorced when I was little, like 4. My mom got remarried about the time I was 6.
Okay.
My bonus dad from that marriage they're still married today. He's been a huge influence in my life. He was previously married as well.
Okay.
Had two older daughters. So I have 2 stepsisters from that remarriage. My dad then got remarried a few years later. So my bonus mom, they still live in Lincoln. She also had 2 older daughters. So so I ended up with 4 older stepsisters and my little sister. So I'm surrounded by female.
Yeah. But I love the term bonus mom and dad, bonus.
Yeah, they're
siblings.
not all of them are bonus.
They're not all bonus. Okay.
Yeah, there's some people that have, what you would call a step parent. I got good ones. So they get to be bonus.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to something the other day that was saying, every family's got that one person, that's just a little bit off. And if you're struggling to figure out who that is, then it might be you.
That's right. That's right.
I love it. And thanks for sharing the background. I think it's so helpful just as we unpack your story.
Yep.
But, we think about fitness fellowship and faith, right? And that fitness piece. Talk me through, because I think you're definitely not alone in sort of like, okay, it's not always easy to prioritize your physical health, or, just life comes up. And it sounds like you maybe had sort of this moment where you're like, okay, I need to start investing in that, but from a different sort of angle, right? Like I want to take care of myself, but I know like just the discipline of lifting weights or running is not going to get me there, but it's this relational piece. So how has your fitness journey been going?
Yeah. I mean, over the years, most of my fitness journey was all based on, my own probably lack of discipline. I tend to be a little bit, either all in or all out.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, there were times where I was really good at it. And I'd get to the gym a lot, and then there were probably more times than not where, I worked out really hard for 2 months and lose 15 pounds. And then I'd spend the next 10 months sort of gaining that 15 pounds back. Right.
Yeah.
So, in my early 40s, like I was, first time I was like, oh, you probably need some cholesterol medicine. And, you start to, so the things start to stack to say you need to take better care of your health.
Mm-hmm.
You lose some friends or whatnot, or you see other friends that are really in really poor health.
Yeah.
So I don't think I really understood, like, well, one, I didn't know that a community of guys would get together and work out like that. Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was all, guys meeting at the gyms and those kind of things. So, and I'm not really a great gym guy. Right.
Yeah.
So, so, I mean, that was something that really attracted me. And just knowing that most of my life, the things I enjoy the most are with others.
Yeah.
So combining that, I mean, even when I think about my own spiritual growth, which we'll probably talk about later, I mean, most of that has come through other men and being in community with other men to learn from other men. And so, fitness is no different from, and having the self-awareness to know that I'm going to show up in relation to another. I'm not going to show up for myself, which some guys they have the discipline and the desire to go up because they think I'm going to be a better father, and that works for them. But for me, that's not the recipe.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think at least, for me, and I think for other guys, there's sort of this, like the fitness draw is fairly self-centered, right? At first, it's sort of like, well, I'm going to show up because I'm going to get bigger muscles or be faster or have a six pack. And then I realized the need for the fellowship. So it's kind of interesting. You're like you figured.
Yeah, I mean, I was once I experienced that first Saturday, then I said, okay, well, I'll come back the next Saturday.
Yeah.
And then I came back the next Saturday, and then the next Saturday, and I was really that barrier, that 5:30. I was a night owl prior to F3. Okay. I was like, that's when I got my best work done. Put the kids to bed. 9 to 11. Let's crush some work.
Yeah.
And the world was quiet then.
Yeah.
I struggle with my wife always claims that I like squirrels. Like, oh, there's, like I have a hard time paying attention.
Yeah.
And so, when the world's quiet, my mind gets quiet. I can get a lot of things done.
Yeah.
So, but that 5:30 was a real barrier for me, which is why a 6 o'clock or a 7 o'clock it's like,
out. Yeah.
I can make that work.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a stretch, but so it took me about a month or two, and I then learned that the maze was pretty close. So then all of a sudden I started showing up at the maze on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I can do 2 days a week, and then 2 days a week. Over the course of the next, really for me, my acceleration was a little slow. I mean, it took me about 4 months before I was like a 3-day a week kind of person.
Yep.
Or even more. So, I had to really change my lifestyle and habits to make it work.
What do you think was was there just enough relational pull from the group that you were like, okay, it's worth it to go to bed earlier so I can experience that? Or what was the driver there?
Yeah, I mean, it was the relationships that started it, and then I always felt good after I got done. Right,
Yeah.
felt like I was getting something accomplished, and I just knew it was good. It was good, right? It was like
Yeah.
It was a great, it was a great answer. It solved multiple things I really wanted to get done every day.
Yeah.
Previously I always wanted to work out or wanted to prioritize it. All of a sudden it was 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and I was like, I still got work, and
Yep.
like that's just that the routine of my life was just sort of off,
Yeah.
and and I'd operated out of that for 20 years, so it was hard to make a
Yeah.
shift.
That's cool. What when you think about, sort of that shift and sort of your physical fitness today, where do you think you're at? Like and have you made progress? Do you still have some goals you're trying to hit, or where you at on that?
Yeah, so I turned 50 this summer, and my goal was ultimately to get into some of the best shape of my life. And
Mm,
I do blood draws, and do in body tests and different things every year.
yeah.
And when I first started my first physical, I was looking back, my first physical as part of F3, I believe my body fat percentage or whatnot was like 24.7.
Mm,
My blood work didn't look super. And so and then that was about a little over 2 years from when I started F3. At my 50th birthday, when I went and did it, I was down to I think 13.8. And
wow.
so so I've made some real progress. I'm definitely about 20 pounds lighter than I was. So that 20 pounds that I always swing back and forth, I've been able to keep it pretty low. It maybe goes up and down 5 pounds from where it's at today, but yeah, I've just continued to gradually accelerate there,
Good for
and
you.
yeah, I feel a lot better.
Do you feel like, as you think about your F3 journey, have you been hitting like all the different, because we've got Murph sites and we do a lot of running, and then you could ruck and do, coupon sites and now weight sites, right? I mean, have you sort of mixed in all the things, or where have you found like your sweet spot with the week to week workouts?
Yeah, I would say I've done all of them, and I actually enjoy all of them. I love
Yeah.
variety. So, I probably don't love the running sites as much.
Yeah.
I've just never loved running.
Yeah.
And so, um, I've done some of those, go to the Catalyst and Rock, and,
Yeah.
I mean, I led the Labyrinth about a month ago where
Mhm.
we did a, 2.3 mile string of pearls, and that about killed me.
Yeah.
But it was good for me, right? It stretched
Yeah.
me. So that's good. I've really, as I've turned 50, I've been very intentional about trying to get down to like Top Guns
Oh yeah.
where there's weights every Monday.
Yeah.
I'm not there every week, but I really enjoy that group of guys, and
Mhm.
it's a little bit out of it's on my way to work,
Yeah.
but pumping some iron is really good for your bone density, and
Yeah.
um, as I get older, I just know that's important as well.
Yeah.
So, and doing more of that, but I mean, I love a good beat down.
Yeah.
That's hard. I mean, I love a coupon workout too. I just, um, you know, just it's nice to have the variety.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And it's always the variety, and then always sort of like like having somebody else come up with the workout, right? I think is sort of
Yep.
like, I don't know, it's like there's a little bit of chaos there, right? Because you're
Sure.
like, I have no idea what this could be, but it's also really great because you don't have a chance to fight with yourself on
Yep.
whether or not you're going to do it, right? You're like, I've showed up, so I've committed to do
All right,
whatever
let's
they
go.
say, which is awesome. What as you think about, so we've got fitness, and then on the fellowship side of things, coming into the group already being, maybe more into the relational aspect of life, which I think for me maybe has some spiritual components too. But
Yep.
how did you? So you knew Specimen, but he wasn't out there every day. I think he's kind of been back and forth with his
Right.
workout schedule. But how did you go about making relationships, or were there a lot of guys you already knew?
Well, it was amazing how many people I would like run into that all of a sudden I was like, oh, you
Yeah.
have 3. Like,
Yeah,
why didn't you EH me, right?
yeah,
Which I think is an encouragement that, like, for all of us, just there's
Yeah.
guys around us that we should invite that,
Yep.
that haven't shown up. And, but, but I think, I just started seeing kind of you start going to some regular places like the Maze and the Oracle. You start to see some of the same guys, and
Yep.
then they're like, "Hey, I'm going here Tuesday," or "I'm going here Monday," and um, you know, you you start to go different places. Um, and I'm pretty adventurous, right? So
Yeah.
I like to go. I mean, I've gone through seasons of going to lots of different places.
Yeah.
And yesterday I was at Beverly Hills. I knew that Polaroid was going to give the famous Halloween haunted Hanscom Park
Yeah.
beat down, and hear all about the scary stories of Hanscom Park's last 130 years.
Yeah.
So I went to that.
That's too spooky for me. I
Yeah,
can't.
I understand.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't make it. This morning would have been wild there with all the fog, but
Yeah.
it was great yesterday. But yeah, I think I just met so many good guys. I mean, there are so many high quality hymns that
Yeah.
you find them everywhere, right?
Hmm.
And so, and I enjoy. I have one of my top Gallup strengths is woo, and so I like to win others over. But I really like connecting, and I like to build connections and networks, and so I like to kind of go different places all over, and
Hmm.
I'm just always amazed at how good guys there are, no matter where you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll never forget kind of early on. I don't know if you've ever met Nodos. He's
Yeah.
one of the redwoods, but early on we were at doing a Q source or something, but he just mentioned like, I used to go to the grocery store and I would see another guy and I would sort of start to judge and be like, he's, probably this or probably that. But then after F3, you realize like, well, wait a minute, there's actually a lot of good guys out there. And so then you start going to the grocery store and you sort of change your mindset to be like, I bet that guy would love F3 and that guy
Yeah.
would love F3, and so it is just, there's so many great guys,
Mhm.
and the irony to me is like, they've been there all along, right? It's just,
Right.
I didn't have a vehicle to get to know them on the level where we could see how much we have in common.
100%.
What, you've done a lot of work, or at least I think you have, sort of with men, sort of developing relationships and sort of in this space. Like, what do you see in terms of like men building those relationships? Like, what are some of the key things that maybe we are doing, or maybe that we should be doing, just to sort of help guys connect on a level that helps us kind of be
Yeah.
successful?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it. Let me go backwards to go forwards. But
Yeah.
I went through quite an identity crisis about 17, 18 years ago, where
Okay.
I'd become very through my own sin, shame, and guilt of the patterns of my life, and not really being able to forgive myself for some of
Mm.
the decisions I'd made. I'd gotten really kind of isolated,
Mm.
which obviously wasn't me,
Yeah.
but I didn't know I was stuck, and I didn't know kind of how to get out. And through a series of kind of, I'll call them divine interventions, where I took some steps in, getting into some groups. One of the groups was a group called Fresh Start. And it really
Mm.
helped me kind of process the issues of my heart. And through that, it kind of reinvigorated, took me from hiding in darkness to light, and realizing that I'm not alone, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of guys have things they're hiding, and there's so much freedom in the light, right?
Yeah.
So it really sparked and reinvigorated my own heart to re-engage with men to help them find freedom.
Mhm.
So I really think kind of part of my mission is to really love and serve others so that they can find hope and freedom in their own lives. So I've looked for ways to do that. So
Yeah.
so I've been involved with Fresh Start teaching groups for really since I had my own freedom and forgiveness. And so I've been involved with groups like that, and watched a lot of guys then have their own freedom.
Yeah.
And that's been encouraging. It also has been bonding. I've done a lot over the years with like Wild at Heart,
Mm.
and I've
Mhm.
gone to boot camps in Colorado. There's actually a great Wild at Heart ecosystem kind of in the Omaha area. And in
Mm.
fact, on Tuesday nights, I get together a lot of times with those guys. Um, yeah, that are all men that are trying to live out of their hearts. And few of them are F3 guys, and few of them aren't. Trying to get the ones that aren't to get them in, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of commonalities
Yeah.
in the. Um,
We're doing just on that note, we're doing a Tuesday morning free book study out in the Northwest, and we're reading through Wild at Heart
oh,
right
you
now.
are?
Yeah, yeah.
Love it.
It's been awesome.
I went to college. This is crazy, but at Vanderbilt, my freshman hall, who then became one of my fraternity brothers, is a guy by the name of Morgan Snyder. And Morgan was like John's right hand person for the
Yeah.
last 25 years in Wild at Heart events.
Yeah.
He actually went from Vanderbilt to Colorado Springs, where he was kind of fathered by through a class that focused on the family,
Wow.
kind of fathered by John Eldridge. So
Does he have a book that's out more?
Morgan, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's his book called? 'Cause I feel like-
Becoming a King.
yes. Okay. Yeah. That's
Yep.
it's in my Kindle
Oh, yeah.
library to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to meet him sometime or whatever. I mean, Morgan and I still talk quite a bit.
Yeah.
So he's
Awesome.
actually just left and starting his own ministry,
Okay.
which he'll launch in the spring.
That is awesome.
Very cool. So I've always loved, like, I think out of my experience of kind of going into this isolation space,
Mm-hmm.
kind of learning freedom, chasing after other guys' hearts, being kind of around them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of, my mess has become my message, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's something I have to offer. All men want a purpose.
Oh.
Part of like the purpose man is hope. How I seem.
Yeah.
Most of that hope is faith, which is Jesus. But I just try to share.
I love it. And I think like when you're thinking about like fellowship, right? If we're coming into this group and we have things that we're hiding or we're not, willing to sort of deal with ourselves, do you feel, is that a barrier to how I build relationships with other people then?
Yeah, I think I think if you're not free to be who God's created you to be, or free to be yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's like, if I've got to hide or be something, pose or be something I'm not, we talk about abuse, the jester,
Yeah.
Wild at Heart, they talk about poser. Very
Mhm.
very similar concept. It's I'm acting out of who I'm not am. So I do think that creates a barrier, right?
Yeah.
I think the more that you are who you are and you work with that, certainly guys grow and change and develop. But being true to self and the best of who you are and the worst of who you are, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
gotta, sometimes it's by sharing the worst of who you are that helps you get to a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
So that's,
That's cool. Yeah. I know for me, the timing of F3, I was a mess. I didn't know who I
Yeah.
was, but then F3 was like this perfect way to sort of like you said, get the bad stuff out there and let sort of, kind of let the group sort of help inform and guide, the true me. And that's been just the most freeing thing ever, and if we could give that to even one other guy, right, it would be just so meaningful.
yeah, I sometimes try to tell people, like, I think F3, I mean, I have a lot of great things in my life, right?
Mhm.
You can only you can only have so many things, but for me, F3 is really a better way to live, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it fits with my relational aspect, but it's also, it's really good for my fitness. The men are incredible. They are, they encourage and make me a better man.
Mhm.
And you just think about, like, whether it's the sad clown or how I described my isolation years ago. Um, it's a better way to live in community with other men.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not all perfect, right?
Right.
We're all on a journey, and
Yeah,
we're all in a process, but we certainly are, we're better because of each other.
for sure. When you think about some of the things we do in F3, right, to build relationships, I'd be curious where you found opportunities. Like coffee is always like the most common one, but how else have you sort of worked within the group to build stronger relationships?
Yeah, I think coffee's been great. I think if I were to say the one experience I had, and obviously we'll probably talk more about it, but the F3 Impact Retreat is probably where I went the deepest, the fastest with folks.
Yeah.
Being away from the noise of Omaha,
Yeah.
and just having those 2 days to really, kind of be vulnerable and explore some different things while still getting in some, great beat downs and on a fellowship time. I mean, that's the pinnacle, and that's sort of why I'm getting more involved with it for the next number of years with Cadbury. But um, you know, but in the dailies, right? It
Hmm.
is coffee when you can.
Yeah.
Um, and it's we've done some guys have done like get-togethers, whether it's
Hmm.
just a group of guys getting, think about a great time I had with Laserjet and Cutting Edge at the Tap House one
Yeah.
afternoon, and just different things. You start to do some things out of life. I just had lunch with Edger, and
Yeah.
those are meaningful, right? And so um, we've done some helped a few guys move
Yeah.
over the years. Or even one day I randomly went to the canyon for a Saturday, and the next thing I know, Reba had me at his church, the Dundee Presbyterian,
Yeah.
all in mulch around for an hour afterwards, because
Yeah.
that was great.
Yeah.
Spend some time, and anyway, but I just when I can, I try to take another step in relational development with different people, and um, so
Love
uh,
it. That's so cool. Yeah, there's the number of different opportunities are just
yeah, you
almost
can't do them
endless.
all. All right, you
Yeah.
can't do them.
Yeah. What in kind of in the we think about like the Q source where we talk about the concentrica and some of the relationships there. Would love to hear like sort of relationship with your M and how many
Yeah,
kids you have and
right.
those relationships there.
So my wife and I kind of, when I was talking about that isolation, shame, guilt, a lot of my story comes out of when he and I were dating. I had some other girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up it ended up being a really ugly situation,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
was I was in this sin for years of shame and guilt that led to this really transformation in my life, right?
Mm.
So here I am. Um, we broke up. I found all this freedom and through forgiveness. Shared it with her. She's hurting. She's divorced. I just been a dirt bag to her. All these things, and I share that because that was a foundational element of, we started with this place of great forgiveness
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
freedom.
Yeah.
That was really where we foundationally learned that the most important thing you can trust is Jesus, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we build our life around, not necessarily. I remember, never forget. She said, I don't know if I can trust you, but I can trust the Jesus in.
Oh, okay. That's good. Yeah.
If I can trust the Jesus in you, I'm
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
I said, okay, let's go.
Love it.
So we had to get married. So married, 5-year-old, Maddie. About a year later, we had a son, Harrison,
Okay.
who's now 15, baby Ruth,
Yeah.
as he's known in the F3 world. And then we have a 12-year-old Hadley. And
Okay.
so right now we've got a college student, a high school student, and a middle school.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
that's the background of that. But I think you know I think so it's different to have and all three kids I treat the same. I mean, they're I mean, I think sometimes guys, and I was thinking about praying about this before we even came in today, just watching it happen. One of the greatest blessings I had in my life was my stepdad, the bonus dad. He was like I was. He treated us like his daughters, right? And so,
Mhm.
I always wanted that for my own, and it really made an impact. I mean, it
Mm.
really imprinted on my heart value and validation
Yeah.
in a way that when kids feel like they're not yours, right?
Yeah.
Um, it can be really wounding, even if you're not intentional trying to do that, right?
Yeah.
Just if you treat your kids different.
Mhm.
Um, so we I guess from a concentric standpoint, obviously my wife is amazing. we've served in Fresh Start together. So we've been on mission together for a lot of years.
That's cool.
Her with women, me with men. I think there's an important part of that as we think about being empty nesters in the next 6 years,
Yeah.
like having a mission that we share
Yep.
is something that keeps us grounded and together.
Really cool.
And I think that's really important for men because I know that some men are like, now what do I do? Now what do we do? We've spent the last 18, 20 years raising kids. Now we're different, right?
Mhm.
Now, so but yeah, I think my wife and I mean, I'm sure certainly have room to grow in how intentional I am with her. I certainly go through spurts where I'm better about trying to date her than others. We're at a place where we're just trying to really be really intentional with our time with our kids because it's our oldest will graduate from college this year, and so it's like time is ticking, and
Yeah.
so we want to try to be as intentional as we can while we still have them, and so I don't know if you want to ask anything else about that, but
Yeah.
that's
No,
sort of the
I just think it's so cool. And I think, I was just talking with Bounty, right? And we were talking about this interesting, sort of if you go back to the creation story in Genesis, right? God created Adam. And he's like, we're missing something here.
Yeah.
And then he created Eve. And then he's like, okay, well, I think we've got what
Yeah.
you need because you've got a helper that's suitable,
Right.
right? Is sort of the verbiage from scripture. And so,
So-
I just can't help but think of
So
all
when
these stories of
yeah,
that are kinda
that's
like
it's
that.
crazy you brought that up because when I actually proposed to my wife, I think the word is the Ezer Kenegdo,
Yes.
and that is used in scripture, and that was part of my proposals. Or she was my lifesaver, and I
Yeah.
wanted her to be my. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's cool that you brought this up because that was a big part of our journey together.
That's
So it
awesome.
has been so.
Yeah. Well, and for many of us, right, it's our wife, right? That helper that God has
Yeah,
specifically, created for us. That I think it's so cool to hear the stories of that.
right.
I would be curious too, as you think about, F3. I don't know if F3 has had any impact on those relationships, or would love to hear, like, is there anything that maybe, just from being around other guys and seeing how they're leading in their families, have you been able to take any of that to your family?
Yeah, I think not only hear through COTs, but just mainly through the conversations of learning what other
Yeah.
guys are, how they're involved and the ways in which they try to love on their families. I mean, there's always amazing nuggets
Yeah.
and amazing things. I mean, I think my family would say that I have been impacted for the better through F3. And
Mm.
while they may not say, it's this one thing that you learned that one day,
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
just the cumulative little positive investments every day through different, not just the workouts, and not just the COTs, but the texts, the get-togethers, the different things that all have a cumulative effect of just making me a better man.
Yeah.
And I think if they were all sitting here, they would say I've become a better man in the last 3 years. At least that's
Yeah.
my
Yeah, we hope so. Right?
that's what I hope.
Yeah, the other thing, just sort of thinking through, you mentioned your son, right, has a nickname, so Baby Ruth,
Yeah.
right? What is that? How has that impacted your relationship there?
Yeah, I mean so one of the things that we're really my son's is on an amazing journey with Jesus, right?
Hmm.
And he's in that sophomore year of high school where most kids his age are looking for life through you know either more material things or by fitting in.
Yeah.
And he has chosen to love others and continue to invite them into the journey that he sees for his life, which in his mind a better way to live is following Jesus.
Mm.
And he's already looking and seeing all the trouble that alcohol and drugs are happening in
Yeah.
his 16-year-old friends around him, right?
Yeah.
And he's got some wins and some losses, just like we all do, right?
Yeah.
He's got one friend that's on the phone with him, and near the end, kind of near the end of his life almost, and he's
Mm.
talking him out of it
Yeah.
and getting him additional help. And on the other hand, he's got a friend that didn't follow Jesus at all in his life, and in the last year, he's started following Jesus. And last Wednesday night, I took the three of us went to the Elevation Worship Conference and
Mm-hmm.
our concert. And here's this 1-year-old Jesus follower, my son, who's invested in him for 10 years, and myself, and we're all worshiping together. It's just incredible. So I mean, I think my son's journey. He loves F3 because
Yeah.
he loves the people. I mean, he's got favorites that always are asking about him, checking in on him.
Yeah.
And he's probably only been to 8 or 10 beatdown,
Yeah.
but yet he could step into one tomorrow and feel like he was a part of the group. He's just in a season of life where he's got baseball lifting, and
He's
you know,
busy.
and, and
Yeah.
he's got he's got his own Bible studies and things that are a priority. But he loves he loves a good F3 beatdown.
That's awesome. What's it like to love your dentist? Well, you're about to find out, where healthy smiles go beyond your teeth. No drilling, no needles, and no anxiety. Relax. It's Omaha Laser Dentistry. Welcome to better. At Omaha Laser Dentistry, Dr. Bullenparty uses the Solea laser, a CO2 laser that's used in all of his day-to-day patient care. He provides thorough exams, assessments, and treatments for things like snoring, tethered tissue, and extractions like wisdom teeth, as well as other surgeries. Check him out today at omahalaserdentistry.com. Discounts may be available for F3 Omaha members. I love hearing just all of the different ways, right, that sort of woven throughout your story, right? It like is your faith.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to kind of dive in a little bit deeper, sort of what does faith mean to you? And as you think about like F3, what are some things that maybe you've done over the years to strengthen that relationship with your creator that maybe other guys could consider or look into?
Yeah. So I think for me, faith has been a journey,
Mm-hmm.
right? I peaked and then I crashed.
Yeah.
As I tried to do life on my own terms, and as I did that and got into that cycle of shame and guilt, but ultimately came back to remembering that Christ died on the cross for my failures,
Yeah.
because I'm not supposed to be perfect.
Yeah.
And once I accepted that freedom, I had my own freedom. And so I I feel like a lot of people treat faith as a where they go to church or as a certain religion, and for me it's a relationship.
Yeah.
And I learned that through my own heartache, that the more relational I am with Jesus, the more joy I have in life, the more clarity I have for different things, the more I feel like I'm able to see him at work.
Yeah.
And I'm more attuned to like the people around me that need different things. And so I feel like for guys who it's just like your fitness journey or your fellowship journey, you just got to keep taking steps. I often talk about this in my COTs because it's so easy to take a fellowship or a faith, or excuse me, a fellowship or a fitness step. It's hard to take a faith step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can do it maybe through service or some of those other things that F3 offer. But when you think about like, what does faith mean to me in terms of a relationship with a God, Creator, Jesus, right? Those are harder to get into, which is another reason why I love the Impact Retreat, is because it gives you space and time to really think about those hard questions,
Yeah.
and which I think are the really most important questions. So,
Mm-hmm.
for me, Jesus is Jesus is the really the relational connection that I really have at the center of my life, right? Everything else flows into how I love my wife, how I treat my kids,
Yeah.
And even how I go about, how I spend my time outside of that part of so I guess my encouragement is keep taking steps, or start taking steps, right? Do something that's uncomfortable, just like you would at a beatdown.
Yeah.
If you haven't stepped a foot in put in a church. A church, we think of it as a building, but it's a group of people, just
Right.
much like F3, which is one of the things I love about F3. I mean, men in F3 aren't perfect.
Yeah.
Come to Relevant. People aren't perfect there either.
Right.
But it's a great community of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of F3 guys there as well. But I mean, it doesn't have to be Relevant, right? I mean, there's just down this 204th corridor, and there's tons of great places where you can be a part of a great community that'll help you take, just like showing up at a beatdown, right? Show up at that gathering or that service on a Sunday. It'll help you take a natural next step.
Yeah.
And so I just really encourage guys that if you're not in a faith community also, find a way as maybe a next step to step out of your comfort zone and do that. Or maybe come to the F3, the impact retreat. Maybe that's your next step. This is the ideal time to sign up.
Yeah, I think too, like one of the things that, like you said, right, like the fitness, like accelerating your fitness, right, is like it's so easy and maybe even like process or like program, right? Like you could get on okay, I want to lose some weight, right? So I may run a little bit, and then I'm going to change my diet. And faith is quite a bit different, but there are still these next steps, right? Like you mentioned, it's a journey, but it's also like you can still accelerate that part of it too. And I do see, unfortunately, I think it makes some guys uncomfortable. And so then we may see some guys drop off when they get to that, like, well, I've accelerated my fitness and my fellowship.
Right.
And now I don't know. I don't want to do that other piece, but talk me through. And I don't know if you'd be willing to share, but you've mentioned a couple times sort of this guilt and shame, but would you be willing to share sort of your, I don't know, maybe root cause there in that space, or what's sort of been the struggle for you? Is it sort of acceptance, or, and you don't have to, I just like to pry.
Yeah, that's good that you're good at that. Good at that. No, I think this is important. I think vulnerability is important. I think this is where you learn about yourself and maybe have more to offer others as well. But, as I went through my 20s and, I guess even just really growing up, coming out of a family that, where my dad was an alcoholic, which was part of the reason my mom and him split. He actually stopped drinking when I was 1. So I never knew him as an alcoholic. And, but my mom, when you live with an alcoholic, a lot of times, or an addict, you're looking to control all the things you can. Right. So without bad intentions, I grew up sort of being controlled. And so as I got out of the house, and I was not controlled. So I wanted to be my own person. 2, I was really good at controlling others because I'd seen it.
Yeah.
And, when you get into that, there's a lot of power with control.
Yeah.
And you start to navigate your life like in a way that, not everybody makes bad decisions out of it, but I did. Yeah. And so my story was through that power, control, manipulation of others. You don't build deep, authentic relationships when you're manipulating it.
Right.
And, so I just through that, and then I had a few really bad relationships where, a few bad relationships with women that, where I felt really betrayed. And in that, I really began to create some, kind of some wounds in my heart, to where I almost had some vows, like, I'll never let myself get to a place where I'm treated like that again. And so I was sabotaging all my relationships through that. And I started making really bad decisions with kind of almost using, because I wasn't free to be loved.
Right.
I put up these barriers, and essentially I was using everybody I dated.
Yeah.
I was trying to fill a hole. Well, that doesn't make you feel great.
Yeah.
And you start to feel a lot of shame for, I'm not offering my whole self. I'm not free to be known. I'm giving to get.
Yeah.
It's just not a healthy spot. And so as you sort of spiral, and then I found, well, now I can date 2 girls at a time. And, it's just a ugly, you can just see where it just kind of keeps spiraling down. And that shame and guilt, when you have shame and guilt, the thing that gives you sort of temporary, release from that is sort of running back to that where you felt powerful.
Yeah.
And, but then you go right back to, it's like this pendulum of power and guilt. You can't have both.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have both, but they go back and forth. So, really that's the journey I was on of living for myself, trying to figure out life on my own. And, when you're in that spot, you think you're too far from Jesus for him to love you. You think
Right.
you're too far from, I've done these things. And that's one of the things I've learned. Like, there's nothing you can do. You're never too far from Jesus. You've never done anything to where, or experience or had something done to you
Hmm.
where you're not accepted and loved by Jesus. When you're living in the moment of that, you don't feel like that's true.
Yeah.
But if you get the right people around you, that can help point you back to that truth, which, just having some divine moments where the right people came around me at the right time and, loved me back to that real truth that I couldn't see anymore. All I
Mm.
could see was my failure. All I could see was
Yeah.
my shame and my.
Wow. I'm so glad you shared that. And I think it's really eye opening to me because I think like the gift that God gave you from that, not only the freedom,
Right.
but I think you've also developed this gift to see other men that are maybe stuck in that spot where I know I need something better or different, but the guilt and shame is causing me to go back
Mhm.
to the only thing I know. Right. And
Yep.
so like being able to see guys that are maybe in this spot where like, hey, we got to process that. And I think you do I don't know if you do one-on-one stuff or stuff through Relevant, right? Am I remembering correctly that
Yep.
you do some things ministry wise to kind of help guys through that? Is that accurate?
That is true. So yeah, so part of my fresh start experience, that helped me process the issues of hurt, loss, and offense. Um, as I went through that and had my own freedom,
Yeah.
I was like, hey, can I help? Can I be a part of helping others with this?
Yeah.
So for about, last 16, 17 years, I've been involved with helping men in small groups and occasionally one-on-one, but,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes it's usually like a 2-on-1 or a 2 leaders and 3 men.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some collective wisdom that you can learn from others when you do it in small groups.
Sure.
So I've done that for 15, 16 years, and currently we do it through Relevant. We offer groups throughout the year, or sometimes people call in and be like, "Hey, fresh start, something," and they're quick to call me and
They
say,
deploy the team. They
"Yeah,
say,
deploy the
yeah.
team. Jamie, are you available?"
Yeah.
And I love to be available because there's there's nothing more honoring and some ways beautiful in this will sound weird, but to sit in the grossness of somebody's story.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it's like I have my own, we all have it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But guys, when they're there, they just feel like they're so far away and they're desperate.
Mm.
And it's so honoring to sit and hear that story. To hear their pain that maybe they've never shared before. I've had guys share, you know, guilt that they've been carrying with them, you know, when they inappropriately touched a neighbor when they were a kid,
Mm. Mhm.
and they've lived with that guilt their whole life, and it's shaped their life, and their life's a mess, and or a divorce, or I mean, it can be really anything, and it's honoring to sit with them in that, um, that they would open up, right? But there's also great hope in all those situations.
Mm.
Jesus is the hope of the world,
Yeah.
and great leaders are his agent of change. So I feel like that's one of the things that's beautiful about F3. There's great leaders, and so anyway, that's
I love it. No, it's so cool. Speaking of leadership, right? So our mission is to invigorate male community leadership. And we do that right through some of these opportunities, like getting to be a site Q, and would love to just hear like what's been your experience leading in F3, and maybe how have you applied that to other areas of life?
yeah. So I'll start with F3. So even being a site Q, I didn't want to be a site Q by myself.
Yeah.
So as many of you know, party actually approached me, and I'd been thinking about it, knowing it was something that I had a desire for.
Yeah.
But when he came to me and said, "Hey, would you co-queue with me?" I was like, "Yeah,"
Yeah.
because I'm relational.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything. I believe this lie when I was a kid. Well, my biggest role model was the Lone Ranger.
Mm,
There's some depth to like that in the sense that I spent most of my life trying to be,
interesting.
and that's not what God created me for creation and relationship with others.
Yeah.
So when I have this opportunity, knowing myself, like the idea of being a co-site queue was way better
Yeah.
for me because I want to do things in relation, like I've got enough individual tasks I have to get done at work
Sure.
and other
Yeah.
things, right? Or as a dad or as a husband, right? So any extra time I have to do with others. So the opportunity to be a site queue, co-site queue was like that was the green light for
Yeah.
me. Same way with this impact retreat, right? Um, Opportunity to work with Cadbury. I mean, I respect his faith journey a ton, and Girls and Sister Act loved the opportunity to go to the impact retreat last year. In fact, they asked me if I would lead it before I'd ever been,
Oh, yeah.
which was super honoring. And I told them, guys, I don't even know what this is,
Yeah.
but sure, like
Yeah.
because part of like I will make time for things if I think it will help others walk closer to Jesus, I'll make time for it.
Yep.
And that's kind of my wife and I both do that. In fact, like part of my giving strategy with like my generosity, I really only give to things that are faith oriented.
Hmm.
Not that there aren't other great organizations or aren't other great needs,
Yeah.
but like I spend my time and talent and ties towards, like relevant F3, the Hope Center for Kids. I'm on the board with the Hope Center for Kids in North Omaha. And, so all of the things that, in Youth for Christ, everything that where we spend our time
Yeah.
or give our talent is all around, you know, Jesus, because Jesus is the hope of the world.
It's a great example of just, you mentioned church, right, as a term people often associate with a building, but also
Right.
like, I think of like worship, right?
Yeah.
And just like worship is not just standing up and raising your hands to sing music, right? Our whole lives should be,
Mhm.
in worship to
Right.
God. And so
Right.
I can clearly see that
Yeah.
as you share.
I heard last week Stephen Furtick at the elevation he said we don't raise our hands because we're perfect.
Right.
We raise our hands because we know the one that is.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, oh,
I
let's
love it.
go.
Yeah.
You
He's
know?
got some great stuff, man. I over the years, Tonight Show would always share some of his sermons and just,
Yeah.
he's been a cool guy to follow. When you think about, cause you do a lot of leadership stuff, right? Clearly throughout the community at work and your time as a site Q, any advice or lessons learned that you would share with guys that maybe are taking over the flag or just getting ready for a leadership role, or even for me getting ready, kind of a new leadership transition? Any advice or things you'd share?
I mean, so much of it's about, being yourself, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to do anything the way that the last person did it.
Yeah.
Being the best version of yourself will be one of the biggest lies that guys think is I'm not enough,
Hmm.
or what I'm going to do is not enough. That's
Yeah.
one of the enemy's greatest lies.
Yeah.
And especially in a world where we're supposed to be doers and get things done and be a certain way and all these things, it's like, no, be yourself, right? Be the best version of yourself. Keep taking steps to be a little better. And whatever that looks like, it will benefit you the most. It'll create the least amount of stress for you. It'll make you
Hmm.
be the free version of yourself that others really should experience. So, um, you know, I think stepping into the site leadership or any other kind of leadership, it's an important, again, life's a journey.
Yeah.
It's an important step in your journey because you'll learn new things about yourself, some good, some bad.
Hmm.
But you got to keep taking steps. So, and leading a site is awesome.
Yeah.
It's something everyone should, it's easy to say everyone should do, but everyone should do it either by themselves or with another.
Yeah.
And, you get to have your own community, right? For a year, and some guys come and go, right? I mean, come and go from one site to another week to week. You get kind of a core of people, and you get to really know some people a lot better by, that you're their consistent rock every week.
Yeah.
Right. And, without it, you wouldn't build those relationships.
Yeah. Your advice is so solid too, of just like be yourself, lead the way you lead, the way you were created. I think it is super tempting to sort of find, like a leadership book, or look at another leader, or even now like AI, right? Like to sort of abdicate how you lead to something else, somebody else, right? Sure, there are frameworks and all these things, but I think as I've been thinking about that myself, it's sort of like I'm not even necessarily in this role because of me, right? And so then like there's like a higher power that's coordinating all of this, and so then like I should feel the freedom, but it is tempting to sort of say, well, wait a minute, I don't really know, so I should go find all these little things, and then but to me, in my experience, that is less authentic, and then it really creates sort of some confusion down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important for you to hear, like, I've heard you on multiple podcasts. You talk about, like, you always feel like there's a checklist or something I need to do better, or something I need to go learn. And, as men, we feel like that. We feel like we're not quite good enough, or there's something, if we just work a little harder, or we read another book, or we get that more maximized checklist, it's like that robs you out of the joy. Right.
Yeah.
And you need to know, like, you are so important to men in F3 and your family. And I'm not just saying that, like, that's the truest part of you. Right. And you've meant a lot to a lot of people. And you just, all this time you give to podcasts and beat downs, and like that stuff matters. And you don't need another checklist or a book to do it better.
Yeah.
You just need to keep being yourself.
I knew you were going to find a way to turn this about me. No, this is your episode. Well, this has been awesome. And I know there's a lot of additional pieces to your story, but just would encourage guys, I know, like, having lunch with you was great. And every time we, interact, I just love the conversation. It's your heart and passion for men. And, I think, with all the different things, right? Like, guys should definitely check out the Impact Retreat if they're maybe not ready there. Like, just maybe get in touch with Chicken Hawk and talk through where you're at. I think where we'd like to kind of land or wrap up is just thinking about current state, life, whatever's going on in your world. Where do you need prayers, encouragement, support when we see out there? What's that thing we should be checking up with you on?
Yeah, I'm in a really healthy respect spot, right?
Okay.
I was probably one of the reasons I wanted to be respect so bad. I went to a respect pop-up when I was 48. I didn't know there were rules about you couldn't do that if you whatever.
They didn't let you stay.
So I kind of was told I could be an intern, but then I was like, but I admire the heck out of those guys, right? And so it's like the opportunity to be like them.
Yeah.
Like, I know that they're like, I wish I was, whatever, but it's like, I respect a lot of those guys. I mean, there was a day where Ozark, we were at, it was a day where I almost, like, walked out of a workout. I was fighting an injury and feeling out of shape. My knee or my ankle was bothering me, and we were at Oracle, and he just kind of encouraged me that day and ran with me. And so it's like guys like Ozark that, like, they're part of that respect group, right?
Yeah.
So I just think, I forgot even how we got there. How do we get to this?
Oh, just where do you need prayers?
Oh, yeah. Where do I need?
Yeah.
I just think, so I'm in a really good spot. And I think just trying to figure out, kind of started to pray through, maybe getting into Shield Lock.
Oh yeah.
I've not done, that's been something that I haven't prioritized. Certainly excited about this upcoming retreat, but it's the first one. So be praying about that.
Yeah.
But then we'll be leading it for a few more years, and, that'll be a great area, to pray into, just that guys have great experiences, not for me, but for them, right? That it's what it needs to be for them, and the right guys come. So those are a couple areas. Obviously still raising kids, you can't put enough prayer into how you raise kids.
Mm-hmm.
And, I guess I just encourage guys to reach out, and, if there's ever a chance for You have something you need, or something I said today is like, hey, I need to learn more about that, or
Yeah.
"Hey, I got something I need to get out of my I'm kind of stuck in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I love those. I love to help men when they so just encourage guys to uh,
I love it. Well, let's do a little name-orama here to
yeah.
wrap us up. I'll start. Brandon Flehardy, 39, The Plague.
Like,
Ah!
Jamie Hunt, 50, chicken
Chicken Hawk. And
hawk.
it's like a, and then a
There you go.
respect now, right?
Oh,
We gotta
yeah.
do it all.
Go.
I love it, man. I just have to say thank you again just for
Yeah.
your story and your passion. And I just, something you do so well, and Wait Time does this really well too, but just, I think hearing from another man that you respect that you're doing a good job or you're adding value, I think those are the types of things that, I would love to see more of us do, because I
Yeah.
think there's just so much. It just reassures you, right?
Right.
It sort of keeps you from that comparison trap or whatever the thing is that makes you feel like you're not enough, because
Right.
hey, the people that know me well and
Yeah.
people I respect are seeing it, so I really appreciate
Yeah. I see you, brother.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
All right.
Scars on our hands, hope in our chest. We're not defined by the weight of the test. Brothers in step, we carry the flame. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop, yeah. Every man's got a story inside. Standing strong, we won't hide. Every man, yeah, every man's got a story. We've been broken, we've been bruised, but we rise again and we don't get to choose. Through the fire, through the fight, every man's story burns in the night. Scars on our hands, hope in our chest. We're not defined by the weight of the test. Brothers in step, we carry the flame. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. On a story to tell, from the valley low to the mountaintop yell. Every man's got a story inside. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop yell. Every man's got a story inside. Standing strong, we won't hide. Every man, yeah, every man's got a story. Every man's got a story. Voices rise like thunder, they roll. Truth in the pain, it's shaking the soul. Chains may rattle, but they break in time. Every man's story is yours and mine. From the struggle to the glory, every man's got a story. In the dark or in the light, we keep marching through the night. Every man's got a story inside. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop hill. Every man to the mountaintop hill.